2. We're going to have Joshua Lee, that's also known as Sarah Gruhl, against Evan, also known as Merlin. Sarah Gruhl will be playing Thrawn and Mando versus Merlin, who's going to be playing Kanan and Princess Leia, charming to the last. Let's go ahead and jump into the action.
Hands have been shaken, a good luck has been exchanged, and it seems the game is beginning. Secondary units are challenging the odds. Mission of Daring Gamble.
But yeah, I would say, I mean, it's so hard to predict on this. I mean, like skill-wise, I mean, I have more experience playing and knowing Sarah Gruhl that it's like I automatically kind of go that route where Josh is probably going to be the one that I lean towards. But I don't know if that's a fair assumption, simply because it's just familiarity.
It's kind of familiarity, and I don't want to lean on bias because I know Sarah Gruhl and I don't know Evan, and that makes it hard. Flip is Dark Troopers, and game is beginning. But if you're asking me my prediction, the way that I look at it is this. Yes, Empire does do a lot of wounding, but this is a Thrawn Empire list with Mando, built on control and defense.
Right.
So if I were to make a prediction, just knowing how these models work, my prediction goes to Thrawn, and that's completely an unbiased take. That is just me looking at the units and how they work.
Correct. I mean, the one thing I would say is that this is not your Iden list that's going to be sitting there putting a lot of wounds, triggering the revenge triggers. So because of that, the biggest thing that people lean into with Kanan and with PLC is not going to be taken full advantage of. All of that being said, it does change. Okay.
The Dark Troopers are now spending a force to use their jump boots. Get a little extra mobility going.
So he did decide to pull the DT, jump boots. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't want to stop stream just so I can sit there and try and troubleshoot these cameras.
But after this game, we'll be able to go on lunch. We might be able to take a second to try and figure out the issue. But at the moment, we're giving you the best we can.
Without a doubt. But I have a feeling it's probably just the amount of strain on the internet at this point in time in this convention center. So moving all the way forward to get that center objective on Evan's side.
That is a really good unit to have contesting on your opponent's side of the table. The Dark Troopers, notorious for a few things: protection and immunity to pin.
Right.
Now, the type of list that I like to play, and again in my recent play, has been Plo Koon and Ki-Adi-Mundi. I bring the 212th for the extra pin, usually giving us a little bit of extra damage on those. And it seems that he's going to take a shot into the Rebel Commandos for his second action. But that said, the best way that you can do and deal with the Dark Troopers is getting those early shoves, which I believe some of the Spectres have. But the force push is not going to be able to do anything from Kanan, as those Dark Troopers are immune to all ability-based displacement.
Exactly. So yeah, 4 fails there, only 2 blocks, which is 3 successes basically is what it's going to work out to. So just looking at what he wants to do here. All right. 4 damage, pin, and jump. The pin, again, helping out quite a bit on this one.
Yeah. Because those Rebel Commandos, they're able to get a free movement.
Right.
Or out-of-action movement on their turn by spending a force, so preventing that. Another shot's coming into them as well.
Right, yeah, just trying to get them taken care of early and often. And we saw this in the last game as well, where being able to get the early attacks off and really kind of putting a support behind the 8 ball early kind of was beneficial in a lot of ways. Really, like, we kind of made Tech and Echo kind of useless until the end of the game last time. So And forward down the tree he goes with this attack roll. Dice are in the favor of Josh early, looking like right now. It probably will be enough looking at everything to just put them down altogether. So a wound pre-activation on them is going to be kind of brutal. Yep, and that makes sense. The Kanan trigger is something that is going to be something
thinking about the Kanan trigger. It's an early time to make it go off, but at the moment, if he wounds the Rebel Commandos, we don't have to worry about the 5 dice clapback. It is just going to be 2 heals and a jump. So, yes, it gives Kanan that extra mobility, but 5 damage and a jump into the Commandos means they are wounded.
Yep.
So we are going to let that Kanan attack, or the Kanan trigger happen, as well as the PLC trigger.
Exactly, yeah. No, 9 damage from them all together with the pin. I mean, they will, of course, clear that pin as soon as they reactivate, but it is not. That is kind of where you want to go with this, I guess, is probably the best way to put this. You want to sit there and hit them early.
I mean, an early wound, especially on Nevertell, is very, very important. And especially because the way that as we mentioned before, the Commandos have a range 3 deployment, so he was able to invade the back line, take that middle point, and prevent them from contesting this objective off first activation. PLC is going to dash up with her revenge trigger and give her hunker to Ezra, and then Kanan is doing his revenge trigger jump. See, this is the strength of this Kanan PLC list, is as soon as any wound happens to the team, there's going to be a lot of mobility happening, and that's why such an early attack is important, because getting the movement out of the way and making the later game wounds less viable is a number 1 target that I would go for.
Without a doubt. Yeah, you're definitely wanting to get that. And the biggest thing with these guys is always the positioning as well. So it's like making sure, like really finding out where the positioning is going to go and everything along those lines helps you know, like, okay, now that I've seen both of these triggers go off, this is where they're going to be. You've already wounded somebody. I mean, it's fantastic as well. And the Rebel Commandos came out. Yeah, he's immediately going to put them into reserve. I don't think he wants to sit there and activate them right this fast.
And the card flip is Sabine. Got those alternate art Spectre cards. I find that very exciting. I find them very fun. The dash is going to Ezra, and Ezra is going to gain the hunker. And he has 2 hunkers at the moment. Now, Sabine looks like she's going to take her first action to move. Just deciphering which way is the best way to go. Looks like she's going to head towards that camera south objective.
All right, and yeah, I do have 4 copies of those alternate art Spectre cards, thanks to our good friend Mr. Pink. He did take care of us. I wanted to make sure that that he could share the love with all the other people out there. So yeah, I think we're going to probably work on giving one of those away.
Just to update, the Sabine did end up spending the Force to add some fireworks to the display, hop up, take that south objective, and now the card flip for Sarah Cruel is the Stormtrooper Sergeant.
Yeah, seeing Stormtrooper Sergeant, he's got kind of debate where he wants to go with everything. Stormtrooper Sergeant is on the north end of the map, as far as like we're looking at on the top of the screen. Not going to really be able to impact much in the way of points at this.
Looks like Sabine also did a take cover real quick, and we were just discussing that. Now the official card flip happens. Looks like Stormtrooper Sergeant is going to be put into reserve. Did not spend the force for the mobility out of Thrawn, but we did pull a shatter point, so we've got a lot of options here.
A lot of options, yeah. And you're really looking at, does he want, now that Sabine's down at the bottom of the map there, do you want to sit there and kind of go into her and see if you can sit there and push her off that point? Because he already has 3 points right now, having the top center and the back right. If he is to sit there and move that forward.
Mando for Shatterpoint.
Yep, Mando Shatterpoint, which makes sense because now you can just move Mando forward. Yep, getting nice and far forward on there, and really this is the point where if he's going to take a force to probably clan it too. Yep.
Now, a Mando early activation is something that I usually like to pull off once he's in my team as well. I think getting him up the table is really helpful. The only risk that puts you in is if he can get taken down. As we mentioned in the streams yesterday, the one weakness that the Mandalorian has is being taken out of play by being wounded, but luckily he's one of the tankiest units in the game, so that's a pretty hard thing to do. And as we're seeing this clan of 2 come out, he's just going to use the force push version and get Sabine off the points. I looked at him flip stances, and it looks like an attack is about to happen.
Yeah, looking to bring Sabine in cold. I see quite a few fails in there, though. That's not ideal. There's 4 blocks, so...
After conversion, 4 blocks.
Yeah.
Everything's blocked?
Everything is blocked.
Everything is blocked.
So not the best attacks, but again, he is playing a little more on the control side, I think, here. He's just trying to win the point brace. I mean, and not pushing her off, he scores 4.
Scoring 4 points. Yeah, as mentioned prior, we're expecting a lot of movement out of this list and a lot of control. This is going to be displacement. This is going to be sneaky moves out of Sarah Cruel's list here.
Right. And now we have back-to-back shatter points.
Interesting.
Giving a lot of options here.
I'm not surprised by this pick. So he's going with Kanan. It looks like he's in the pack leader side, which allows him to give a dash to a Spectre, to a Rebel unit. If it's a Spectre, he also gets to dash himself. So he gave that dash to Ezra, putting him contesting the same point as the Dark Trooper from earlier. So, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's only one model there, which means Ezra will be able to break that tie.
Breaking the tie, yeah.
So, he is now walking up, taking a shot at Mando.
Okay. Could be a really impactful turn here. Because you are definitely flipping that 1 point back on his side. Could potentially flip the point where Mando is going to be a little difficult to do that, but is always is a strong possibility. All right.
Looks like after conversion, 3 blocks.
And a crit to a fail. So
looking like 3 down the tree.
Okay, not too bad. I mean, and that's really, you need a big spike to take out Mando. He's really a strong...
Very big spike. And on top of that, 5 pin and a shove out of Kanan. That's usually what I expect. I don't really know what is past that on his tree. The amount of times that I've played him, I expect about 2 to 3 out of him.
Yep. And that will take the point back, it looks like.
Oh, no. Never mind. No magic hand. There were no fails.
No fails out of the roll and no magic hand thing from the Mandalorian.
Climb action onto the point.
And then for his final action, he's going to climb onto the point. Objectives flip, and we are looking for some scores.
Yeah, so basically that'll score him 3 points, bringing it back to his side. So that was a good swing back by Evan. All right. And just looking at some measurements and stuff like that. Yeah, a really solid turn there to flip those 2 points. Really kind of puts himself back into a position where he was bad. Okay, so we get the flip of Thrawn, leaving the Stormtrooper Sergeant in reserve at this point in time. So definitely was a choice. I do like seeing Thrawn go here.
An important note here is that when Kanan decided to move Ezra with that dash, he did lose 2 hunkers, so Ezra is now a little bit easier to hurt. Now that's the one, not weak point, but I would say that is the weakness of the Spectres, is because typically when you're playing them, if you decide to go full Spectres, you've only got 6 models on the board, so you can lose in numbers, but the number one thing is that you have Ezra, a secondary, who is a very sticky tiebreaker. And I think that is a very important and vital piece to the playstyle of the Rebellion, is having Ezra there to break ties. And if he doesn't have those hunkers keeping him alive, he could be in a lot of trouble.
Without a doubt, yeah. The hunkers are kind of the big thing for him.
Thrawn's going to go ahead and spend a force to allow himself a reposition, if I'm not mistaken. Get a lot of mobility here. If you end up contesting an objective, you get extra dice on your next attack. He's working on finding the angle that he needs.
All right, looks like the internet got a little bit better for us. A little less choppy anyway.
I think it's a technical issue with that camera.
Attacking Ezra, coordinated fire strain from the Dark Troopers.
An attack is going into Ezra. The Dark Troopers are going to coordinate fire strain.
And Ezra did get engaged, so he does not have his hunkers.
Yep, Ezra losing his hunkers anyway. All right, here we go.
Ezra
Big
is now
attack
strained.
from
This is a very important condition
Ooh.
to toss on Ezra. If he does get the expertise he needs, he does have a mobility back onto the tree. Unfortunately, that expertise does not look like it's going to happen.
right.
So it's better safe than sorry with that strain for sure.
Yeah, three fails.
Pin from the expertise and the rest.
Looks like quite a few crits here. Yeah, so 3 crits. So basically when it's all said and done, 3 crits down the tree.
3 crits down the tree, and as we heard from the expertise tree, he's also getting a pin. So Ezra's walking away with strain and pin, and quite a few dice on him.
So it'll be a 3 damage. It looks like he's going to go as the route. 3, and he is going to be able to shove him.
2 recovers, 3 damage.
Okay. A dash, a shove, 2 recovers, and 3 damage.
It doesn't look like that's going to put Ezra off of the point, though. So Ezra is still going to be able to stay on the point here.
Yes, but he is able to win by numbers, it
Yeah.
looks like, because Thrawn and the Dark Trooper are both on that point, can flip it back in his favor.
Looking pretty good for a good activation here for Seracrol, for Josh.
And the
flipping
shove
one of
is
those points.
happening, therefore pushing Ezra out.
Right.
Take control of that point again.
Scoring 3 for Josh, so that'll put him 2 back on his side. And I don't expect to see a lot more wounds going forward at this point in time.
At least for the time being.
For the time being. All right, so PLC is next.
Charming to the last.
A lot of options here as far as what you can do with PLC. I mean, your primaries always are. Yep.
Clearing the pin on Ezra with her tactic.
Which is fantastic, right? Like, you do want to keep them.
He's going to use the ability that allows 1 unit to heal and another unit to dash. So Ezra is going to eat the strain and dash.
Switch into the cover, rapid side. I'll breathe.
PLC is going to move up into the objective. So now we have 2 models apiece on that objective, but Ezra, being that tiebreaker, is going to make that go in his favor.
Yep.
Leia's going to go ahead and toss some dice into the Dark Troopers now.
And that was a pretty awful roll by.
I think on both sides.
So no damage, just a shove.
Wow. Both sides just had really rough rolls right there.
No damage and a shove is happening.
Yeah. Not exactly what you would want out of a PLC activation, where you're just not getting anything going. But hey,
But,
it
I
happens.
mean, that's kind of sometimes that's how the Rebels are. Right now, what we're seeing is what you'd usually expect out of the Saturday morning cartoon. The
Tiebreaker is going to give the point back.
the tiebreaker is going to give the point back, but the Rebels are starting out on a low foot against the Empire. But this is what we expect, and also this being Never Tell Me the Odds. I've said it once, I'll say it again. This is usually the mission pack that it is constantly flipping back and forth until someone scores a wound, and it just changes the entire look of the struggle. Yet, since we scored one so early, it was more of a preventative measure for the revenge triggers than it was to take advantage of the mission pack itself.
Exactly.
Now, one of the Thrawn tactic cards is being pulled.
Using the bottom tactic, the dash, and remove all hunters.
It is going to allow one of our units here to dash and then remove all hunkers. And the card flip goes to Fifth Brother. I've seen this once and I'll see it again. It's Fifth Brother usually just likes to move up, walk up to a point, and then claim it because of his inquisitorial mandate. But we shall see what he does to approach it here. He's going to spend the force for a force jump, allowing him to move up on top of the gantry here, on top of that garage. And taking a move action, looks like he's going to go ahead and engage Kanan. Just kind of weighing through his options at the moment on what he could do.
Not attacking, just using the recover action to remove the pin on Mando.
And it sounds like he's going to take a recover action to remove the pin on the Mandalorian. So that way, Mando can be a little bit more mobile in the future. Scores just a few points back on his side, and then the next turn will go to Evan. Fifth Brother just finished up his activation.
Right.
Walked up, took a point from Kanan, scored a couple, and recovered the pin off of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I mean, Fifth Brother's always going to be a solid activation. For
Yeah.
Sure.
Seems Evan's just weighing his options on who he wants to activate, and the card flip happens, taking us to Chopper.
Chopper, you don't want to go too early with him just because he's so much better when he's in the deck. Yeah,
The thing
Aubrey's
that
favorite war criminal is now here.
The thing that I like about Chopper is how he can't be attacked while he's in the deck, but something I've started doing recently is letting him activate because he's surprisingly tanky. He's immune to two conditions that are relatively common that people usually use to stack for extra damage, but he's also got protection, which means he can just take a few hits. But, you know, it's better to keep him in the deck when you can.
Without a doubt, yeah. I mean, he is solid when he does activate. But yeah, I mean, having someone that just is not going to be able to be attacked is always really solid too. Like it makes eliminating or minimizing the amount of options your opponent has is something solid.
Attacking into Fifth Brother.
Range attack into Fifth Brother, it seems.
That little droid has a problem with an Inquisitor apparently.
It's Chopper, man.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong unit. It is in melee.
That's pretty wild that he has problems here with challenging an Inquisitor is pretty wild.
I have once before. I have wounded Darth Vader using Chopper. He has the potential. He can do it.
One success.
but this is not going to happen with just one success.
Yeah. Fifth Brother's going to be tanky and only have one success go through.
Right.
Sounds like it's just going to be 1 damage due to Fifth Brother having protection when he's contesting an active objective.
Fifth brother doing Fifth Brother things. I mean, this is why.
Tanky boy.
Yeah. I mean, when he first launched,
on a petty mayhem.
Yeah. When he first launched, I really thought he was one of the best characters in the game, one of by far the best support. So
That might be the most Chopper reaction I've ever heard.
yep. Wah, 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 wah. All right, but scores 3 points here. Was able to flip that back again.
Do we need to take back everything we said about that activation, redo it over, and just say wop 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 wop?
All right. So since this is going to be just an easy mail, I think I can probably do these internationally. For those that are here, I should be able to print these. So what I'm going to do, let's see. For the next, I'll say 18 minutes. So for the next 18 minutes, I'm going to give away, thanks to Mr. Pinks, a set of these Spectre alternate art cards, and actually has a Thrawn foil card in it as well. So kind of in honor of this game, it just makes sense to do this.
Yeah, I agree that I think Chopper is the definition of the dark side.
Right. So what I would like you to do, if you want to be entered into the raffle drawing for the alternate art Spectre cards and a foil Thrawn card, just go ahead and put Spectre in the chat, and I will be doing a drawing in about 18 minutes.
And make sure you spell it correctly. E after the R. So just to give you guys a quick update on what's going on, Dengar did use his on the trail, move up, and is now smacking our favorite war criminal.
So there's a crit and a pin on the tree. That's the only thing that's going through.
Okay. Now, after all the results have gone through, it's going to be a crit and a pin. Objectives have moved, and we move on.
Chopper is immune to pin,
Just a reminder that the things you guys are entering for right now is the Spectre cards that you see our friend Evan here using in-game. And yeah, I do agree. It's very thematic for us to be tossing these cards into the mix while we have Thrawn and the Spectres on the board.
So using unreliable informant.
Ezra's going to go ahead and be using Unreliable Informant. And gets the expertise, which means he gets to resolve a dash on the enemy support. And it's going to be decided by the opponent's player.
Where you get either a dash or
Just player discussion, figuring out who can go where.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the way the terrain is in this game too. Sometimes you really have to move some pieces around and everything along those lines.
they're figuring out unreliable informant.
So looking at unreliable informant. Yeah, basically one of those, like, if we can't make it, like we might have someone by the table like looking to kind of relay information, but like we can't really make judge calls and stuff like that. So if we need one, we can definitely get one. Do you need a judge? Do you need the judge?
I think I understand what it says. We're in agreement on what
Okay, as long as you're getting your greens. Just making sure that they don't need a judge or anything like that. It looks like they both agree to what's going on, so they're fine.
Yeah, the person who rolled the die.
So yeah, just like, but it looks like they've come to a conclusion on here. It looks like there's going to be.
They both read the card. Focus, attack, and dark trooper.
Focus and attack into the Dark Troopers. 3 fails and only 2 blocks for Sarah Kroll here for Josh. Looks like a couple of fails though also. So 2 fails. Expertise turns that into a crit, blocking the 2, so it looks like it's going to be 3 down the tree from what I can see here. Just kind of decide on what he's going to be doing with this. But yeah, this has been we're almost about at like 3 damage pin strain. Into who?
Dark Troopers.
So 3 damage pin strain into the Dark Troopers. Moving back to the center, each getting a momentum.
For the first time this struggle, finally adding a little bit more momentum onto this, both playing some pretty reactive and control-y lists, so we're not seeing a whole lot of momentum added onto the board. This is kind of what you would expect out of Nevertell. Give it some time.
Right. I mean, but you still have Mando, you still have, oh, here comes the other tactic.
Another Thrawn tactic card comes out of the deck.
Battle tactic, reposition on the Mandalorian.
And the Mandalorian is getting a reposition.
Yep. Which basically the Mandalorian is the last one in the deck, I believe, here. Because he has the Stormtrooper Sergeant in reserve. So he's going to basically get a Mandalorian activation here if he wants it.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at Evan's side. He's had those Commandos basically just sit in reserve all day long. So all he's got left at this point in time. All he's got left at this point in time is, I think, is Kanan, I believe, because he used Kanan for his shadow point. So yeah, he's got Kanan.
And the card flip goes to Mando.
Yep. And yeah, just a reminder for people that may not have been paying attention in chat earlier, we are doing a giveaway. Got about 10 minutes left in chat.
It seems for an unknown amount of time that Todd has just left his flashlight on his phone on.
Ever since I dropped
So what was that, about 30 minutes ago?
Yeah, so when I dropped the front half of
Tip 101 on how to drain your battery.
Cover the strain.
all right, Mando recovering the strain.
And then he's debating between Planet 2 and
Yeah, looking on where he wants to if he wants to clan it to. He's only got 1 force left with a card still in reserve, but that is just Stormtrooper Sergeant, so like not a very force intensive unit. So yeah, just debating on whether he wants to clan it to right now here. I mean, if he is able to flip another point was going to be huge for him. Scoring 4 here would be a very significant amount.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree, and especially we're still on struggle 1, and this one has been going for a while.
Right. Yeah. No, we're looking at roughly about almost 50 minutes into the round at this point in time. So,
but like I said before, Nevertell is one of those ones that it seems that it would go on for quite a while, or it's done in just a couple activations, and they both have the mobility to keep up with this mission.
Without a doubt, yeah, that's one of the things there. So, with all of the you can limit.
So he is using Planet 2.
He is going to use Planet 2. You can limit the the mobility a little bit with the revenge triggers to kind of slow down a little bit. But yeah, both of them are highly mobile units, or mobile lists. All right, so Clan of 2.
Using the push on Leia.
Yeah, using the push on Leia, kind of pushing her off of that point.
Getting her out of there, just keeping yourself contesting that point, keeping yourself holding on for just a little bit, able to get a lot of card flip going, or objective flip going on.
Yeah, and that's really where the meat of this is going to be, is he wants to sit there and do that.
Up against the tower.
All right, just moves kind of right up against the high tower piece there.
Three models on there, so flipping the point.
Yep, flipping the point, scoring 4. So this really is going to put some pressure on going back to Evan. Really kind of look at, does he want to pull Kanan out of the order deck, or is he going to use the Commandos in reserve right now and wake them up?
Now, if I were in his position, I was going to say, let's go for Kanan.
Right.
He was one of the early activations. Now is the time where he can do a lot of work.
Right.
If I can tell, he has a little bit of force to do something with. I'm not sure he has the force to do anything with Kanan, though.
Yeah, he's only got, it looks like 1 force remaining at the bottom of your screen there.
Now, it looks like that he gave his pack leader Dash to Sabine, who can turn any form of movement into a jump, so she's able to jump up and contest that objective. Kanan's going to go ahead and dash down, so that way he can get a little extra room. On pack leader side, he really likes those ranged attacks. He can do a melee, but he definitely prefers ranged.
Yeah. So looking to sit there and just do that range attack, I mean, there is a possibility that he can get back up there at some point in time if he really needs to.
Absolutely. I know there's a bit of mobility on his tree.
Yeah, looking good. Kind of just mulling over what he wants to do here.
I mean, he's definitely on the back foot at the moment, so right now trying to find a way to flip an objective is his best idea. If I were in his position right now, he could take an attack, hopefully wound or shove something off, and then go ahead and take that backline point. I don't see anyone else contesting it, so it leaves it wide open for claiming.
Correct. Yeah, he could end up looking at, in a way, I mean, he unfortunately doesn't have the force to the force push.
Yeah.
It's really kind of like where he probably could very easily flip 2 points. So he's really, I think that's kind of where he's debating on what he needs to do and how he needs to go about making the most out of this activation. And I don't blame him one bit to spend a little bit of time to think about it. We have plenty of time. This has been a long round, but there's definitely time to think about it. All right, so here comes the attack. Pretty good defensive roll as far as showing. I'm not quite sure who he attacked into. Okay, attacking into Fifth Brother. Five damage down to 4 goes 3 crits. He had 3 crits on here, and that's really what kind of did it in. I mean, he was able to get 3 down the tree with that. So 5 damage into Fifth Brother. And that was going to go down to 4. But he does get that shove.
Just discussing the shove angle to make sure that we're getting it good. And I can see we have 2 Spectres up and 1 Empire up. Therefore, that objective will flip. I think he still has an action free, so he's just going to use the move action, move on to that back point. That's kind of the ideal situation there.
Yeah, flipping 2 points, really kind of putting it back. I mean, he's going to get a momentum because it's just going to go down 1.
Kanan is one of those primaries where on his activation, you want to make sure you're flipping 2 points. So it's satisfying to see that he was able to pull it off.
Right. Yeah, even with a good defensive roll there, it still was that. So now the only option that he has is to pull Stormtrooper Sergeant out of reserve.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be kind of the same for Evan, where all he's going to have left is the Commandos. So is it really going to look at, do I want to move somebody? Can he move somebody to try and get onto a point? Stormtrooper Sergeant, though, all the way at the top of the screen, really not being able to impact any of those 2 points at the bottom where that just got flipped. So this is kind of a rough one for Josh.
Difficult choice to be made here.
Right.
Leaving Stormtrooper Sergeant in reserve for so long, there just has not been an optimal opportunity for him to be used. But it looks like the tactic is finally being chosen on who gets to move.
Yeah, without a doubt. So moving fifth brother here.
I think that's a solid choice. I mean, we know he's a tiebreaker. If he's able to hit that ladder and climb back up, that means that objective belongs to him again. It's all he needs.
Well, I think it's the objective actually is on the bottom. So as long as he's within 2, which I think he is, he's kind of underneath that gantry.
Oh, I'm mistaken. I thought he was climbing up the ladder on that side point where we have Sabine and Chopper, but it looks like he's moving over to contest over where Kanan is at.
Yes, I think that's where he's going, is basically going down onto the ground where Kanan is, because Kanan's the only one there, so definitely winning the tie there.
Yeah.
So that is kind of nice. He's going to be able to score 3 points here. Really just moving for Stormtrooper Sergeant up on top. I don't know if there's anyone even within range to take a shot at, so it's probably just going to take cover.
Yeah, looking like it. I mean, that's kind of what you would expect out of with this list, especially with how controlly it is. Like, you don't expect much action, especially on a sergeant's turn, when we know how little he can do on the tree. What he provides is what he does outside of his attacks. That looks like it's going to be turn for Sarah Cruel, and Card Flip is going to finally pull those Rebel Commandos out of reserve.
Yeah, taking that wound off of or basically flipping that to their injured side.
And they're going to go ahead and attack the Mandalorian.
Was it a focus attack? Okay, so just like starting out right just with the attack into Mando. See if they can basically kind of put Mando down. And that makes sense because then Mando is over there on that other point. But even waking them up, I think he's going to be able to flip that back and score 3 again.
If there's one thing that I know about, I've said it once and I'll say it again. There's one thing that I know about the Mandalorian is that he's one of the most powerful units in the game by himself. That revenge trigger, being able to heal 2, fully reposition, and keep contesting objectives that people are trying to go for is really powerful. But if you can put him in the ground and get him wounded, that is one of the best things that you can do. It's just the unfortunate timing. But it's fortunate but also unfortunate because since we're playing Mandalorian Thrawn, if you wound one of the primary units of Mandalorian or Thrawn, Thrawn can just decide to reshuffle his deck. So the timing of this is actually excellent. If he's able to get this wound off, there's no point into reshuffling and refreshing because he's already doing that. He's already gone through his deck.
Right.
The added bonus is that
4 damage disarm.
the added bonus is that he gets to make sure the Mandalorian is wounded and not able to reposition. So now he has to go through 9 different cards to try and find a Shatterpoint or a Mandalorian to wake him back up.
Correct. But I don't think you wounded him there, right? You just did 4 damage?
4 damage and a disarm, but this is a 2-character unit, so that means that second attack can go through.
Right. We'll see what happens here. And again, like looking at maybe, 3?
I think that's about 3. I don't have the chart off the top of my head.
He does have the best card, so I might turn it into 2 blocks.
3 through again.
3 results going through.
That's going to be able to put him down. Yeah, it's just 1 block and then a crit to a regular
Crit to
strike.
a strike.
Yeah.
I knew he had crit mitigation, but I've been playing a lot of people where the crit mitigation is on the second result of the tree. So I was getting mistaken with memory.
Oh, they're wounded. They're down.
Yep. And that does put...
Mandalorian has been put to bed for now.
Second action.
And the second action is happening at the moment.
Yeah, looking probably going to be moving some people around here just to kind of see where we can get...
And point of order is that the Mandalorian, he does have that wound trigger, but it works on anybody except for himself. So since he was the one taken down, there's no heal to reposition.
Yep, so that goes back to him. Scores 3, gets a momentum for the wound and a momentum for not going back to 0. So here we are looking at all things being equal. Evan's been slowly creeping back into this with his momentum.
Players are working on shuffling and cutting decks.
And here comes the Dark Troopers.
If I'm not mistaken, were they the first card pulled last
They
time?
were. First pulled this time, first pulled last time. So now looking at what he wants to do with these Dark Troopers, because they have been sitting kind of off on their side for a while there. Time-wise, the round started roughly around 11:30, so we're about an hour-ish in at this point in time, Mr. Pink. And they've been on this struggle for a while. So it's at this point, I mean, this is going to be impactful.
He's waking up Dark Troopers, so removing the strain, leaving the disarm.
All right,
Dark Troopers are waking up and they're removing the strain.
going to keep which does keep a disarm on them, so no damage on them because they're waking up, but yes, still disarmed. So that first attack, if they do decide to attack here, is going to be without the expertise chart. Which is does mean something. I mean, you really, like, not all the time, but can be kind of painful.
It's free extra crits, you know, depending on what tree you've got, but can't go down without having a couple extra dice on the table. I'm always a fan of having my expertise, but, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, because in melee, one expertise is just a crit. I mean, so it
Very good results.
Yeah. So definitely it is an option. I mean, it is an option you don't want to lose, but it does happen from time to time.
Absolutely.
All right. And just out of the corner of my eye, I saw the X-Wing guys were right next to them, and one of our locals is actually on their stream over there. So I got distracted for a second to see one of our locals.
Happens to the best of us.
It does. It does.
Wouldn't be a true momentous struggle stream without that.
And it wasn't
one
Aubrey.
person getting distracted.
And it wasn't Aubrey for a change.
Hey, I've gotten distracted a couple of times. Don't mind me.
All right. You know what? I think I've given it enough time, a little bit past the time I had said, but we haven't had anybody else for the for our
Spectre giveaway.
So let's see.
Debating about the increased force cost here. Move action.
Can make this work.
Todd is grabbing something to figure out who's going to be the winner of this Spectre set of cards. Again, this is the poster style cards that you've been seeing our friend Evan here use throughout this stream. If you are chosen, you will be walking away with a set for yourself as well as a foil Thrawn.
So, spending the 2 on rocket boots. Or rocket feet, whatever. I don't know. Jet boots.
The jet boots are being activated.
Up skippity jumpy time.
All right. So, based off of the random roll that I did to sit there and determine who's going to be winning our Spectres, the first Spectre giveaway cards that I'm doing, looks like it is Mr. Jack Johnson. I don't know if you're a Mr. or not, but like the name Jack Johnson makes me say Mr., so congratulations to Jack Johnson. You have won. If you are in Discord, you can definitely find me in Discord. I am Cliffjumper6. If you send me your information, I will get these mailed out to you.
3 damage pin.
3 damage and a pin coming out of the Dark Troopers here.
Let me do this, and I will put you, Jack Johnson. Hopefully, you're still in here. If not, I'll give you some time. I am definitely, and we will be giving a couple more in there. But if you want to join, if you are in Discord and want to join our Discord, here is the link for that.
Some confusion. The attack's in a chopper, not Sabine.
And that attack is going into Chopper, not Sabine.
2 crits through. 2 damage pin shove. Choppers are immune to pin though, so hasn't changed.
So, after the confusion has been discussed, it's sounding like 2 damage and a shove going into Chopper.
Yeah, definitely more chances to win some more cards here for sure. So like we'll be definitely giving out some more. Again, Mr. Pink, thank you very much for like everything that you did there, supporting us and actually giving back to the community quite a bit. That's fantastic of you to sit there doing it. I appreciate you. This is not Momentous Struggle. We're just the channel that he used to help give back to the community some. So a big shout out to you, Mr. Pink. Thank you very much.
Yeah, much appreciated. It's always a good way to build community.
Yep. I had a chance to meet him actually at Las Vegas Open when he came out to play out there when I was the TO, and it was a really nice guy. Really glad that he had the chance to see it. He missed part of the tournament, unfortunately, but it was nice to meet him, and he's become a regular listener and supporter of the show. So I thank him and for his support, like I said.
And so your viewers are aware, Todd has actually finished and not dropped all the pieces of Fulcrum and Vader. The models look fantastic. We'll be able to show those off a little bit later once this game has finished up. He's working on taking a photo right now. Might be sharing that.
Yeah, I'll get a picture up in the Discords and up in the on the Facebook here in a little while to share with everybody.
Yeah, so if you want to see what the sculpts look like up close, he'll be posting the photo in that Discord link that he just posted into chat a little bit earlier. Just some player discussion happening at the moment.
Yeah, really good looking at it.
Drop down, attacking into fifth brother.
Sounds like Sabine is going to drop down and attack the fifth brother.
Yeah, so Ms. Jack, if you want to sit there and just, if you are in Discord, send me a message in there, and then I can definitely hook you up with sending those cards out. It'll probably be once I get back into town from here. It usually takes me a little bit of time to get that, but I will definitely make sure that we get those out to you.
Notably, he forgot the focus from
Or if you're on Facebook, you can go into Momentous Struggle there and send me a message through there, and I'll definitely be able to get back to you.
And 2 damage is going down to 1 due to fifth brother's protection. I always love seeing these thematic battles. This feels like I'm watching an episode of Rebels at the moment.
It does.
We have Thrawn versus
not our side.
Kanan,
yeah.
They're right there.
But yeah, definitely a quite a bit there of a theme going on. But this has been quite the battle for sure. Quite the battle for sure with
And then also Dengar.
yeah, just a random Dengar in here.
Speaking of, he is who shows up on the card flip.
Yeah, this has been, like I said, a long match. We're probably over an hour in at this point in time, and they still are on struggle 1.
Yeah.
Now only 3 points left. He controls 2 of them. Flipping one of those points and getting a wound will end the struggle, and that's kind of where we are right now.
I mean, this is what you expect out of Never Tell Me the Odds, out of teams who have high mobility, constantly able to keep shifting these objectives.
Dengar has no damage. Mando has 5 damage. There was some confusion there.
Finally looks like we're going to decide to go with Dengar. We're just getting some measuring out. On the trail is happening, moving in, and let's see what happens next.
Yeah, I do love the on the trail ability. I mean, I'm
Big bounty hunter enjoyer.
I'm a big bounty hunter enjoyer. So especially like just the supports, I've always been a big fan of on the trail. Into like, especially with the bounty hunters, where you can just focus and then have sharpshooter too. You're just rolling. I full tree with those guys all the time. It's amazing.
Yeah, I like using them for the payday abilities.
Yep. 9 dice attack into
9 dice
Sabine.
melee into Sabine with a focus. Now, I've used Dengar once or twice, and I'm sure you're very surprised to hear this. It was with a Hondo list,
3 crits.
I'm excited to see how he does here.
Right.
Now, this might be a hot take, but after looking at like just the results and how I feel after trying all of the bounty hunters in that box, to me, he has been the strongest contender out of that box.
Yeah.
He's very strong, has a lot of options in him, especially being able to payday and make bounty hunters reserve for cheaper.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, 2 blocks, all those crits. He's going full tree here. Full tree on Dengar. This might be what was needed to end the struggle in Josh's favor. And like I said, with as long as this has been of a struggle as this has been, this is going to be pretty impactful.
I mean, it really puts the definition to the word struggle.
Right.
6 damage, double shove, exposed.
6 damage, double shove, exposed. Now, the one thing was Sabine was perfectly healthy. So it doesn't help, but it is going to flip a point again, putting it right there. So it does mean there's a lot of work that Evan's going to have to do on this callback here.
Yeah, I mean, flipping a point is the name of the game. When you get to this level of play, you have to be flipping an objective every turn, or else you're going to struggle.
All righty. Looks like that is that. Flips the point, scoring 3. And he's right up against it, the momentum there. Really,
See, I love seeing the momentum at this point because I love playing General solo.
Right.
And I love hitting them with the gotcha, I win on your turn.
Right. So a little wah of Chopper. Showing up. Looks like he's debating if Chopper is the activation he wants right now. We just refreshed the deck not too long ago. Looks like he's contemplating putting him into reserve, and he does. He puts Chopper into reserve. And Shatterpoint. And it looks like this is, again, kind of the same exact route that he was going last time. He had...
I think it's a nice benefit that he has Chopper in reserve this time. Now we know that he cannot be shot as long as he sits in reserve.
Exactly.
So, yes, Chopper can take a hit or two, but now he's off the table for as long as we can see.
Exactly.
Shatterpoint is an interesting pull at this moment because you can see the struggle tracker is not in his favor, and it's going to be hard for him to pull this one back. So something I might consider at this moment, he is setting up for the next struggle. And that might come out of it since he's considering using Kanan at the moment.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think some time is kind of a factor here. And really knowing who wins struggle 1 is going to have an impact on the end of the game at this point in time, because we're getting pretty close to mission critical.
Absolutely.
And we're still here.
And it looks like this tactic is going to... looks like the Shatterpoint is going to Kanan as they are working on just resolving the tactic at the moment. Sabine turning that dash into a jump. I've never actually seen that ability utilized as much as it has been in this moment. I personally am almost always moving Ezra whenever I play Spectres, but that's usually because he just gets bopped off a point in 1 or 2 hits.
That is something that can commonly happen to him.
Kanan is attacking the 5th brother.
Now, Kanan's going to go ahead and toss some hits into 5th Brother. It looks like we're in melee. Yeah, it looks like we're in melee. We're just tossing some measuring clarification.
But one of the issues here, look, that was just not the defensive role that Josh was hoping for right there. 3 fails, 2 blocks, 1 expertise. There's 3 crits on Evan's side. Evan just, the dice coming up pretty good for him right now.
The dice giveth and the dice taketh away.
Double shove.
5 damage and 2 shoves, and at the moment, 5th Brother does have protection steadfast, but that's not going to keep him from getting wounded. Slowly but surely just figuring out who's going where. Todd's working on getting a couple more photos for the gram.
Can you blame me?
You should put that other one in front so that way you can see all the colors. Yeah, he's showing you, he's going to take a photo and show you guys all the different colors that you get with these AMP sets, as well as the fully assembled models from the new Ahsoka vs. Vader dual pack.
So, first push on Dengar. Struggle tracker's full.
Kanan's going to go ahead and force push Dengar. Struggle tracker is full on the blue side. Now, I said that
Shatterpoint time.
and it's a Shatterpoint flip out of Seracrul.
Back-to-back shatter points, just like the first time through the order deck.
Am I allowed to say that it is as written?
So yeah, definitely some amazing things happening here. It's I think you have a fan in chat. I don't know
Oh,
what
I
to
saw
say.
it.
A lot of thinking going on here right now, and what's going to happen. I mean, but this is an important activation for sure for Seracrul. He's really got to because he currently
He's got to work hard for it.
He does. He currently has 2 points. He needs to flip a point and get a wound again in order to end this struggle.
So I can tell you what happened here is if you look at this momentum, he got that first wound, and then it landed in the middle. Any other momentum that's added to the game has just been sheer perseverance. So Seracrul has gotten one wound and it landed in the middle. That's all that momentum. The rest of it has come from Evan just clawing for this win.
Yes.
And this just goes as a testament to show how good these players are.
Going with Fifth Brother.
The activation is going to Fifth Brother, which does wake him up. Exciting to see.
Taking cover.
Fifth Brother's going to go ahead and take cover.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing. He's trying to determine what he wants to do here. All right, take cover.
First action is a take cover just to get that little extra bit of movement.
Yeah, Evan not having any more momentum is going to impact how this.
Go
goes
ahead and
forward.
move. Keep it simple, nothing too fancy. Take cover, move. That's a very expected move out of Fifth Brother, as all he needs to do is walk up and break a tie.
Right.
You were both playing fine.
That's never tell for you, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah, this is what. So back to 3, right, all the way up against it. But again, now Evan really has to make a move here because he's not getting any momentum to help pull him out of this at this point in time. He's looking to see whether he wants to use chopper or not.
I mean, it's a tough choice, right? If you decide to activate Chopper, it does leave you exposed. Exposed is the wrong word, I guess. It does leave you open to be attacked. And like I said, Chopper can be a tanky unit, but part of his charm is allowing him to just sit in reserve or in the deck and not be able to be attacked. Giving him that extra opportunity to do something to him is rough.
Right. So it is a hard choice. I mean, right now, there's still PLC, there's still Ezra, there's still Kanan, there's still the Commandos, all still in the order deck. He doesn't know where he wants to. There is a big decision.
I can understand the dilemma in trying to make a choice.
Right. Because do you want? I mean, you want to have PLC, you want to have Kanan available for this next struggle if you aren't able to pull this out. And if you pull them, you're taking an activation away. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense to go with Chopper here.
Chopper is the move. Now, this might be where I would also consider, as I said once before, to just consider setting up for the next. But who knows? We've seen a lot happen. Chopper just decided to go ahead and spend a force to use Mayhem, gets the full rainbow. That is a strain, expose, and a disarm. And then 8 dice going into the attack.
So 2 fails, 2 blocks, and an expertise on Josh's side. I see 2 fails, 2 crits, 3 expertise, though.
3 expertise on Chopper is...
That's 3 crits. And that's going to put, it looks like probably 3 through. He is exposed now.
3 damage shove.
3 damage and a shove. Pushing him off of that point there. That bottom point has been a place for battle to happen. Right? And moving 3 back again. It's just 3 3s.
3-3, back and forth the entire time.
Right.
Now, this puts Heracruel in a very tough position because since it keeps going back, he doesn't want to risk wounding something to be able to get that last momentum, but it's almost the only option you have at this point.
Yeah.
And what you need to do is you need to get a wound and flip a point, therefore getting you that last little bit of momentum. The risk here is that we're running into Kanan PLC, and you can only avoid those wounds for so long.
Right. So, I mean, in the deck right now, he's got Thrawn, he's got Fifth Brother, Mando.
And decided to pull Mando.
And pulls Mando. Yeah, and now you're looking at, if there's anyone who's going to be able to flip 2 points, it's probably Mando.
Mando has the potential to definitely flip some points. Just got your mobility, you got your clan of 2. It's just the only issue is that I like to use this term a lot, but he's kind of a selfish activation. He doesn't really provide anything to the rest of his team on his activation. So, yes, he can do a lot of point flipping, but you have to have the rest of your team set up for it already. So, let's say he decides to go clan of 2 in the middle. He has a lot of options there. That might be what we're looking for. So Mando is going to take the activation. I think we're measuring out and looking at the clan of 2.
Yeah, just trying to see what he can do there. But, yeah, Josh is just making sure.
Move action, dash Mando.
First action was a move out of Mando, getting him onto the other side of that point. Now he's spending for the clan of 2. Interesting.
Yeah, looking for the clan of 2.
So something that I know about Nevertell is that you always want to try and keep your back left point, because that one has a good chance of showing up pretty often.
Force
And
pushing Leia.
now he's going to go ahead and toss that force push into Princess Leia. And as you can see, he left that back left objective. Evan left the back left objective of his open.
Yes.
So Mando's going to go ahead and invade that back line.
Yep.
Force push her out of the way. Probably toss some dice.
Yeah.
Tossing some dice into Ezra at the moment. He's got the range for it. Does he have the dice for it? And we can figure out in just a couple seconds.
Yeah, definitely getting some. And now, but this is the wound probably is going to happen here. It's very possible that it'll happen, depending on the roll. 3 fails on Evan's side is kind of brutal. Only 1 expertise.
This looks like my Ezra rolling.
So just 2 blocks. Seeing just a regular hit from the 1 expertise. Just 1 success going through. It was not what he was looking for as far as that goes. So almost we're about a 1.5 order decks through the through this right now, and we're still
on struggle 1. This is insane. For those of you that don't play the game very often or don't watch the game very often, it's really hard for you to tell how intense of a game this is and how good these players are, because it's just back and forth every time. I mean, it's really putting the definition of struggle here. This just shows how well some matchups do against each other.
Yeah, just crazy. I had Twitch streaming for professional casual. I forgot to shut off. That was probably what was giving us lag. And looking through everything here, I mean, we're pretty far into this. I'm looking to see if there's other games that have already finished at this point in time. And I think, let's take a look, because, yeah, there's multiple games that have finished at this point in time. We have a couple of players that are already 2-0. Brennan and Craig are already at 2-0 for the event at this point in time. So multiple games have definitely finished. At least I see 3, and we're still in struggle 1, which is just wild to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and we got just a quick break. I'm going to have Israel step in to talk with us for a little while.
Hello.
All right.
How's it been, Todd?
Going good, man. Going good. Okay, so basically we have pulled. Good.
Commandos.
Going with the Commandos. The Commandos were pulled. So basically now they are going to be a pretty juicy target at some point in time, because they are definitely able to get put down at this point. So take a look and see what we can do here with these guys.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's going to put them into reserve.
Ooh, reserve?
He is going to put them in reserve. Pulling Kanan.
That's
and
a juicy pull.
It is. Kanan, like we saw in or his first activation, he can definitely influence 2 different objectives. He is, I believe, still down here at the bottom of the screen, which means that he can potentially swing those bottom 2 points, really bringing it back in Evan's favor for this struggle.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been watching this game on the sidelines, and Evan himself knows how to use Kanan very well. It's kind of his saving grace, almost.
Yeah.
Talking to the judges, it will. It is almost mission critical.
Yeah, we're getting really close to it. I mean, I was like looking at the clock. I mean, the estimated start time for this was 11:30 local. It's 1 o'clock. We're about an hour and a half from where they were looking at. That's one of the things we were talking about. Is like we're almost there. We're almost up against it. So
Yeah, this game has been very tight. It's been very back and forth.
very tight game, very back and forth.
Yeah,
Not anybody really like giving an inch on this one.
No.
Mr. Metallico, how we doing?
Yeah, oh boy. Yeah, if
Just a
Oh,
focus
boy.
and attack by Kanan now here. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm loving the play here. I am absolutely loving how both of these players are just really being solid plays. 2 fails. Yeah, 2. And there was the announcement
there
for
you go.
mission critical. Now, in this situation, if he cannot flip 2 points, this is going to favor Cerebral, because Evan already has all of his momentum. So this definitely does favor Cerebral if he doesn't score 4 here. If he scores 4, well, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, if he scores 4, it puts Cerebral kind of on a back point, because then he's still going to have to flip it either 2 back or get another wound.
yeah.
In order to make this happen.
Well, Jack made it back, and I was happy to talk and hop on stream for a little bit.
All right.
But he's rubbing my shoulders.
All right. Wasn't able to flip any points here. So yeah, that basically only scores 2. Basically kind of puts it into Cerebral's lap here. He's got 5th Brother. Still has Thrawn, still has Stormtrooper Sergeant in the deck. along with he hasn't. I don't think he's pulled any of the Thrawn tactics cards, so he's going to go and put Thrawn into reserve. Makes or Storm
Fifth
or I should
brother.
say Fifth Brother into reserves,
Pulls out the Sergeant.
and I think this is probably the best option for him,
Mhm.
the best outcome for him, because going into Struggle 2, having Fifth Brother in reserve, to where you can pull him and put him onto a point that activates on his his first activation of the second struggle. He is going to score. Yeah, no matter what, scoring 3 here, automatic is going to be a win. Only needed to score really 2.
Pure necessity. It took took a lot of activations to get here, but
It did.
finally got what he needed.
I mean, and this is. I don't think Evan could have played any better.
No, I mean, both players were tooth and nail, blood, sweat, and tears into that struggle.
Secondary is challenging.
Challenging the odds that the target will be secondaries. Not really a lot of
Let's get
odds.
a change of environment going.
Right. Yeah. Not a lot of odds getting being used here for sure, but or being challenged, I should say. So
It's triangle or triangle.
yeah. So basically, one of the triangle options is what, and Evan's really kind of just looking at. He's got it. If he wants any chance of like kind of getting a struggle here, he's got to move fast.
Sounds like the map has been decided, and the
It
points
has.
are already on. So looking like we're going to have the 2 right side objectives with the middle staying where it's at, which is kind of interesting. Usually when I flip up my new mission deck, I always like to try and change things up because we all have the mobility to deal with it. It's just a matter of who can get there quicker.
Right. And this one's, I mean, pretty rough. Because you have 2 that Josh already has. You might have wanted to go the other side, simply because there's 2 points that nobody has, and it would have forced some movement, forced yourself to be able to potentially get the points without having to interact with other characters, especially your opponent's characters. And I think that's kind of what's going to happen there. So we'll see. I mean, but Evan's been playing super tight, super great.
I mean,
Very
both players
clean.
have.
Yeah.
It's been a very close game the entire way through.
Yeah, very clean play. I mean, so
You can see the amount of reps that have gone to each list.
right. Jack, so is Evan your brother? I'm assuming.
That looks like some dice are happening. Leia's taking a shot into the Stormtrooper Sergeant. Got that full rainbow on the defense dice. 2, 2, and 2.
Right. I for some reason, maybe it's just the OCD in me, but I just love seeing when like the perfectly mathematically equal dice being rolled.
I would like to agree with you, but I don't like seeing fails.
Fair enough.
I will not accept failure. Oh, that sounded very Krennic of me.
You can't move them because of the boxes. So just follow the instructions.
Okay.
Box.
So the shoves go into the boxes, and Leia's just going to choose to follow those up.
Healing the pin on Commandos.
Heal the pin on the Commandos is pretty solid.
And then going to go ahead and dash, hopefully claim that objective.
I don't think
for
there's anybody
herself.
back there with it. I think it's just been sitting. Yeah, so she.
Yep, looks like it flips.
Scoring all 4.
From the looks of it, just scoring 2.
It's hard to see because they have all of those out there. But he moved it 4. Okay. They have.
Yeah, no,
I don't see it.
yeah, I just haven't had a chance to move it yet.
And they still have 5 priority. Yeah, trying to see if we can get them to move some of those, whatever the controlling markers off of there, because they have the 5 controlling markers all still out there still. But it looks like, and they just have the one on the bottom is still showing it as it is.
From what I could pick up, it's the bottom right, the top right, and the middle where everyone is at.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like the bottom right one is showing that it is Sarah Cruel still has it, but he scored 4, so I'm assuming that is not correct, and Sarah Cruel did not
I
score
think
it.
it's just a mental agreement among the players that the chits do not represent yet.
And
Flipping sides, focusing.
Yep. And it's
punch into
fast, and they're trying to go through this as quickly as possible. Is probably the biggest thing they want to make sure, because time is 100% of the essence here.
Thrawn is going to go ahead and toss some dice into the Commandos here now.
Makes sense. See if we can sit there and put them down. Lot of dice being rolled, but quite a few fails. I'm seeing
Not a
5
bad roll
fails.
from the Commandos.
I'm seeing 5 fails. That is 6 fails. Ouch. The 2 are getting blocked for sure. 2 expertise just turning into another crit. So only 2 down the tree.
Not what you'd like to expect.
But he is going to get a pin there off of his expertise.
2 damage, shove, strain, and then
2 damage, shove, strain.
And as well as the pin from the expertise.
and
Right.
then pin from the expertise.
Yeah, not exactly. I mean, the nice thing is for Josh here, at least, that he's in himself a good position and everything along those lines. He's got Fifth Brother. He's got Sergeant. Is his last card. Should be his last card in his deck. So, and I think at this point in time, scores the 1 point. I think flipping that back. And gets the momentum for what it's worth.
The pity momentum, as I like to call it.
So, priority point was one that Leia flipped last turn, so he has 2 points right there. Still is going to maintain the back.
Just got a view of the models on the table. That bottom right point is contested by Kanan and Sabine. There is no Empire over there, so yeah, the token just hasn't been flipped, but it's 100% all the objectives are in Evan's favor at the moment.
Yeah. I believe he scored something here, though, because he did move the objective marker. Like I said, I think he's got that the one on Evan's side of the board. I think flipped to over there, but I don't think they called it. So basically, though, Evan.
There is a mental agreement, and we're
Right.
just not. We're doing the best we can to decipher it.
So looking at everything, I'm assuming that Evan has at least 3, is scoring 3 points. He pulls Ezra, leaving the Commandos in reserve again. And so the Commandos were going to be his last activation.
This is a tough choice for both of them. It looks like, from what I can tell, they're both out of force, except Sarah Cruel still has 1.
And so we're going to have a 7 dice attack into the Dark Troopers coming in here from Ezra. This should be enough. Like if we can get a shove or 2,
One can only hope.
Will probably be enough to sit there and end us. So this was for an hour and hour and 40 minutes struggle 1 to just fly through struggle 2 in like 10 minutes is pretty wild.
I mean, that's a very Shatterpoint thing.
Yes.
It feels very fitting, but I mean, one can only hope that this attack is what you need against the Dark Troopers to do the job. But what do we say? That rebellions are built on hope?
They are. Awesome. So, yeah, okay, Brennan is your brother. Yeah, Brennan is 2-0 now. That's fantastic for him. Like, it's a good start. Based off of yesterday, pretty much all 3 1s got in except for 1. So, like, if he he really is at a point then where one more win gets him in, and that's kind of where you really want. If you can start out the day 2-0, you're in great shape.
So off that attack, we're going to get 3 damage, reduced down to 2 because of that protection, and there would be a pin if they were not immune.
Exactly. But that is enough to win the go through. Yeah.
Going to go ahead and put that back to the middle, and just like that, we have brought this 1-to-1. Now, this is really important considering the time how it's working. We haven't reached mission critical yet.
No, we have.
We have?
Yeah.
Okay.
You took off like right when that was happening.
Right when that was happening.
Yeah, so there's only about 15 to 20 minutes left in the round at this point in time. So for those that don't know, what happens is at mission once the game ends, if they're still tied at 1-to-1, the first tiebreaker is whoever controls the most objectives. Unfortunately for that, like a lot of times what it is last player to go wins. So that's kind of where they want to play quickly because they don't want to win this way. But it does happen sometimes. So Serkral really here is kind of devising which option is going to work best for him to end up really pulling this one off. And so that's what we're going to see. Take a look at and determine which option is going to work best. So he's got the bottom 2 points. I don't know I don't know if he wants that point where the back right one, because that he already has, what is it, Kanan and Sabine on that back point.
Yeah, and I believe someone clarified that there's also Dengar there. It's just there's a lot going on for us to be able to see when the objective tokens and the control tokens weren't being flipped. But
so we decided to go with those points. So there's a lot down there.
Bottom 2 points for us as well as the top left. Or no, it looks. Oh, I'm seeing it.
Man, no, it's the. God bless it.
No, so it's going to be actually the top 2 points and then the bottom middle.
All right, they finally got that cleaned up. They just
Todd
had to
showed
wait
him
a
who's
whole-
boss.
It just took us a struggle to get there.
It was a quick struggle. It only took a couple card flips, so can't complain too hard about it.
Yeah, not going to complain one bit. I mean, it's been an amazing game to watch. So, not complaining one bit. Into struggle 3, up against the clock for sure.
Yeah.
So
this is where sometimes people can take a little bit longer activations to try and draw out the clock, but honestly, I don't think that works in your favor. I think taking the quickest turn possible to make sure that you have those points and then allow yourself another chance in this kind of moment is usually what I try to do.
Right. Okay. So, no, he did go with the top point. It's just they didn't turn the bottom one off.
Yeah, because I can see we have the shield at the top left, we have the expertise in the top middle, and then the bottom middle with the failure.
So the bottom right, it looks like it's on, but it's off, and there's just so many models there. I'm not even going to push my way in.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going for.
Using the dash off of his tactics card. So the only card that he has left, he must have had Sergeant earlier that I missed. Oh no, he already had him last time. So basically at this point, the only thing he's going to have is Fifth Brother out of reserve. Pretty good to just stand him up and run basically into the fight. Just try and get some points here.
If I'm not mistaken, he's still on the bottom side of the table, so it looks like it'll be a pretty easy move for him. Just walk him over, get him on that point next to Chopper.
Right.
Looks like a move, take cover. Doesn't quite have the force economy to keep up with it. If I'm not mistaken, he was wounded at one point, and that one force will not be able to get him a force jump.
Correct. So Chopper's going to maintain that point, unfortunately, because you can't climb out of engagement. So basically that was kind of a rough one for him right there. Probably not playing out exactly how he would have hoped for.
Yeah. Only so much you can do, but now he is going to be refreshing his deck, so he's going to have all the options he needs to do.
Correct. But he still does score 2 points, and that's like it was a good option for him, but he would have ideally wanted the 4.
Priority goes to the failure. So it'll be at the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, so staying where Chopper is right now.
Very helpful in this case. It'll score him 2 points off that, so now it's just a matter of if he can flip anything else.
Correct. So Now the Commandos was the last ones in the deck for him at this point in time. It's going to heal the strain with it.
Recover action to get rid of the strain. And some attacks are going into the Dark Troopers. Let's see if these dice can work in his favor. Nothing on the first one. So that first attack is going to end up being null, and then the second attack is going into Thrawn via melee, which is not the Commando's strength. But they get one through. We'll see how much that can do. Not going to be a whole lot, but Thrawn is going to take 1 pin and a damage. Not an incredibly powerful attack, but still vital nonetheless. As we know, Thrawn is really good at mobility.
So using the move action, clear pin, and then dashing the other one out.
Second action is going to go ahead and move. They're going to use the first one to clear the pin. The second one is dashing out of engagement to go and contest that back point. Excuse me. Now score points and card flip goes to Mando, who is going to be going in reserve. It is done for cheap thanks to Dengar. And the next card flip goes to Fifth Brother.
Okay, and just to kind of get a state of the game basically right here. On Josh's side, the only person he has that are wounded, but they are everyone's standing up at this point in time, is Dark Troopers with 5 damage on them. His Thrawn has pinned with 1 damage. Fifth Brother is got 1 wound on him with 3 damage. Dengar has 5. Mando has 5. The Sergeant has a Hunker token with 2 damage. On the other side, Sabine is still sitting at 6 damage with an expose. PLC is perfectly healthy. Kanan's perfectly healthy. Ezra and Chopper both have 3 damage, and the Commandos have 5 damage and have a injured token on them.
Now, while Todd was going over that, what happened here is that Fifth Brother went ahead and spent 2 force to go ahead and force jump up to Chopper and is going to go ahead and make that melee attack. As I mentioned prior, that being in the deck, not allowing a range attack is huge, but Fifth Brother doesn't really mind because all he has is that big lightsaber to slice him open. Let's see what we can get done here.
Yeah, so he has 3 expertise here. That turns into a crit or a damage and a damage and then 2 strike and a crit. So he's going to go 3 and an auto damage. Chopper sitting on 3. I think he can potentially get there.
There's a high potential, though. Chopper does have protection, does keep it a very difficult move here. If he's got 3 on him, that means he needs to do 6 in 1 hit. I don't know if Fifth Brother can do that on 3.
Okay.
Strain exposed shove and 3 damage. But
4 damage.
Yeah.
4 damage. We always forget about that expertise one, but it looks like the 1 shove might actually be able to get him off.
I think the shove is going to be enough. Yeah.
Nice.
The shove is what got him there. And again, two revenge triggers was probably not where he wanted to go with this either. So he's going to get the 4 points up against it. Looks like Sarah Cruel is on the verge of pulling this one off.
Absolutely. But if Evan wants this one to go in his favor, the number 1 card pull he wants is Kanan. As mentioned prior, he has a lot of ways to get some extra mobility for the rest of his team. He has that force push. He has a pretty beefy attack. Like, this is a good option for him to pull if he wants to try and flip some points.
Sounds like he's double dashing Kanan.
Okay, so fun little thing about Kanan's wording on his ability is he gets to dash any rebel, and if that rebel is a Spectre, he gets to dash himself. So he went ahead and dashed himself twice because he is a rebel and he is a Spectre.
And he is allied to himself.
Exactly. Kanan with the double dash. Force push on Fifth Brother.
Force push will definitely get him off at that point.
Absolutely.
so far that he's pushed him so far that you actually can see him on the dice cam. Talk about pushing everybody all over the place.
Well, even better is Sarah Kroll has brought his Thrawn model. Sarah Kroll has brought his Thrawn pop figure and is now having the fifth brother sitting right in front of him to be reprimanded.
Exactly. Pretty disappointed with him. 3 damage down to 2 into fifth brother has been elite.
Oh, and a shove. I asked if there was any effects. They said no. Now there's a shove.
All right, into fifth brother is going to put him at 5 damage. Yeah, that hitting the egress, going up top. Unfortunately, like I said, for Evan, this is just...
Yeah, this is where Thrawn starts to shine,
Right.
as all those extra tactics can give him a lot of extra mobility in the later halves of Never
is
Tell.
Just the win for Sarah Kroll. It's just academic at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Only moving 1. He's going to score 2 from the priority, 1 from the other one. Getting the momentum. He's won at this point. Not anything to really finish out.
Yeah.
You can literally just pass the turn so he doesn't get any revenge triggers.
And Mando's going to take the activation here.
Gonna beat on the Rebel Commando.
He's going to go ahead and beat up the Rebel Commandos.
Okay. Going to beat on the Rebel Commandos. I don't know. Myself personally, so I would probably... We'll see. I hope...
I know the risk of this, and this is scary.
I am hoping that he will stop himself before he wounds, because he has...
Though
they're
this
sitting
is
on
an interesting spot, because if he does get the wound, that's going to be helpful for his score down the road, but it might affect this game.
Correct.
Which, yes, the wounds are important for later down the road, but is it important for right now?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it doesn't flip both points, I mean, he should be fine. And a lot of hits here. So basically 2 crits, 3 hits, blocking, or 3 crits, 4 crits, blocking. So he's going to be able to do a lot. Yeah, 4 through from 4 crits. What a roll to finish out the game here. 5 damage, double shove, dash. I guess he is going to allow for the wounding.
Just figuring out where things get placed before we get to those revenge triggers. Now we're going to start with the PLC trigger. See if she's in range. And the risky thing about PLC's trigger is that you have to be in range to attack that same target that just did the wound. It looks like we're in range in player agreement. Let's see if it goes the way that we thought. This last-minute risky pull for that extra wound on his score tracker ends up ending in no results. That's what you expect out of the Mandalorian. Little handshake, a good game, and that is going to go to Sarah Kroll.
Thank you for watching the round 2 of Heat 2's coverage from Adepticon 2025. Joshua Sarah Kroll did go ahead and take this one off with a 2-1 victory. Really low wound count, 2-2 wounds on this one. So really just a position battle through the entire game, just based off of the gameplay there. Again, they were on Never Tell Me the Odds, so fantastic battle by both of these guys. Go ahead and stay tuned for continuing coverage from Adepticon 2025 as we get through the rest of these videos here. As always, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.